me and the whole public, I am a terrorist. It's like blowing up pipes or blowing up bridges. You would be charged with that. And what did I do? What did I do? I did a church service to hurting people. That's what I do, and that's what I'm going to do, either in jail or outside of jail. As you know, I never stopped preaching and telling people that there is hope, no matter what. Either I was 2 months in prison, in solitary confinement, in metal cages. They put me into metal cages. They kidnapped me from Calgary for no reason, put me in a max spot for the most dangerous offenders where I could not even have a pen. And then they took me to a psych ward without the evaluation of the doctors, without the knowledge of AHS. Those people are dangerous.
You're not welcome here.
Excuse me, who told you to interfere with the democracy today? Who told you that citizens cannot?
Oh, now I get it. Okay, I'm not having a conversation.
You're not having a conversation.
Protesting against Tyler Shandro.
There you go.
That's me more Tyler Shandro.
Sidney Vizard here with Rebel News, and today we're outside Tyler Shandro's office, the Minister of Justice here in Alberta. And as you can see, there's 4 cop cars here that were responding to the incident of Pastor Artur Pawlowski holding a press release. After new charges were laid for individuals involved in the Coutts blockade, Pastor Artur Pawlowski, who was arrested multiple times over COVID mandates which prevented church services and feeding of the marginalized, also spent 51 days behind bars in relation to the blockade, and currently stands as the leader of the Independence Party of Alberta, decided to host a press release outside Tyler Shandro's office, Alberta's Minister of Justice and Solicitor General. Tyler Shandro was the Minister of Health from 2019 to 2021, then briefly Minister of Labour and Immigration before becoming Minister of Justice and Solicitor General in February 25th this year, shortly after the blockade had ended. The Coutts blockade was a demonstration by truckers, farmers, and thousands of everyday Canadians who saw what was happening in Ottawa as the convoy protesting vaccine mandates approached Parliament Hill. Choosing to make their voices heard a little closer to home, demonstrations like the blockade in Coutts formed in solidarity with those protesting government coercion. Demonstrations including the blockade in Coutts took place from January 28th to February 15th. Artur has been ticketed and arrested numerous times since 2020 in relation to COVID mandates. On February 3rd, Pastor Artur Pawlowski held a church service in Coutts and spoke to supporters of the blockade. Arrested 4 days later in Calgary while attempting to return to Coutts, he was held behind bars for 51 days for allegedly interfering with critical infrastructure by way of hosting a church service. Artur is the only Canadian to be charged under the Critical Infrastructure Defence Act. 3 new charges of mischief over $5,000 have been laid on Alex, Marco, and George, individuals who were seen at the blockade. Each previously received support through the Democracy Fund at TruckerLawyer.ca, where their legal defense is being crowdfunded by supporters. For the events around Coutts, many have received traffic tickets, some have received charges, and 4 individuals were charged with conspiracy to murder. A publication ban requested by lawyers of those accused of conspiracy is preventing much of the information around these cases from being revealed at this time. To find out more about Pastor Artur Pawlowski's story, head to saveartur.com. And to find out more about the Coutts blockade, a peaceful protest which forced the lifting of COVID restrictions and vaccine mandates in Alberta, head to TruckerLawyer.ca, where you can donate to their legal defense for the many who received tickets and charges. For now, let's hear what Pastor Artur Pawlowski has to say about the Canadians who put it all on the line to peacefully protest vaccine mandates at the border, and to hear what he has to say about the charges and tickets that have now been laid. Right now, we're outside Tyler Shandro's office. What has brought us to this location?
Well, sadly, the Alberta government will just not let the truckers alone. You've got these guys who have been congratulated by Casey Madhu for having the conviction to stand down these tyrannical regulations, and yet they've got fresh charges against these guys. They're going into court on October the 4th, and it's absolutely ridiculous because we owe these guys a tremendous debt of gratitude for what they did to make sure that the lockdowns were lifted. And the fact that there's still charges months after still being laid and these guys are being dragged before the courts is ridiculous.
The 3 individuals who had an additional charge of mischief. Oh, maybe we should pause the interview just to catch this. Yeah.
Check that out.
After you.
Check that out.
Okay, call the cops, please. They're trespassing. This is a private property, and they don't want to leave right now. They are setting up their cameras. Everything's here. Hi, how are you?
We're good, guys. What's the problem?
The problem is, this is a private property. You are trespassing. If you want to do it, what are you doing right now? You need to ask permission from the property. That's all I'm asking you. If you want to do it here, you can do it on the property parking lot over there.
So we could park here, but other than that, we're not welcome, eh?
You're not welcome here.
Excuse me. Who told you to interfere with the democracy today? Who told you that a citizen cannot?
Oh, now I get it. Okay, I'm not having a conversation.
You're not having a
They are
conversation.
protesting against Tyler Shandro.
But there you go.
That's
That's what we're facing in this country. Anyone that wants to voice his opinion is not allowed in it.
Well, what did we just see happen? You pointed up to Tyler Shandro, his little thing he's got outside of his office, and then he seemed to have it sparked a reaction out of him. What do you make of that?
Well, because I believe he was told what to do, right? He was told to chase us away because this tyrant, hypocrite, and a pathological liar that has destroyed tens of thousands of businesses as the Minister of Health, as a good Nazi, has been rewarded with the highest position as the Minister of Justice and Solicitor General, is continuing this persecution and prosecution of citizens. I mean, that's obvious. He's just following orders from his boss, the tyrant Kenny, that was supposed to resign, but of course those people never do. They need to be replaced. They need to be taken. So it is what it is. We'll go where they want us to go, and we'll still do our best to exercise our democratic rights. It's a press conference. It's not a protest. It's not a rally. We just want to do a press conference, and I don't see any better place than a government office. It is insanity at the highest level. This it needs to stop, because I am fearing for tomorrow. I'm fearing for our children, because one day they're going to wake up in Nazi Germany #2.
Again, this is a press conference. We're not protesting here. This is a government building. We have legitimate concerns. We have a registered party now that is here to give a press conference on statements on relevant issues that are happening right now in Alberta with regards to the Coutts, the new Coutts charges, and of course the people that are still in prison for the Coutts blockade, the peaceful protest of the truckers. So I assume that Tyler Shandro heard about it, and he notified security and the management here to immediately kick us off the property, because he doesn't want the bad optics. He doesn't want people who are going to expose that this man, the Minister of Injustice really, is responsible for these deplorable, disgusting new charges that they're placing on people that just voiced their discontent with Jason Kenney's government. And of course, this just shows that the UCP has no intention of stopping. I mean, he was caught in Sky Palace breaking his own mandates, and now he's placing charges on truckers, on farmers, and on a town councillor from Fort McLeod for being in Coutts. So obviously he doesn't want the bad optics, and he called security to kick us off the property. If there's any sense of dignity, of goodness left in you, resign. Just resign. Never go back into politics, because you're a disgrace. You're disgraceful. Shame on Shandro for his hypocrisy. I mean, he was caught red-handed breaking his own mandates. I mean, as you know, he was the Minister of Health at the time. He was responsible for all of the mandates, the restrictions that crippled our economy, that hurt small businesses, that shut down restaurants, shut down churches, arrested pastors, and he himself was caught red-handed in his own hypocrisy scandal at Sky Palace. So resign. What's wrong with you? You're a disgrace to Albertans, and your entire government is a disgrace. So all of you need to resign. The UCP is disgraceful. I have no hope in the current government. This leadership race is a joke. All of them are the same. They come from the same snake pit. So
Marco van Hugenbos, as well as Alex van Herk and George Jansen, each face a count of mischief over 5,000. Prosecutor Stephen Johnson is pursuing a conviction on that charge, which carries with it a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. Stephen Johnston is the same Crown prosecutor that accused me of destroying Canadian economy worth $400 million. He is the same pathological liar that said that I abandoned the people after I incited violence for the people to commit acts of violence. When 3 times during my church service in Coutts, I told people peacefully, no guns, no swords. This is the same man that could not even do the background check, accused me of entering a luxury BMW, saying that it's my vehicle and I abandoned people to go. And of course, it's nonsense. It's a lie. It's a made-up story to keep every opposition and any opposition in prison. Nazi style, communist KGB style. And they are using, unfortunately, useful idiots like those guys here that do not know what they're doing, just following orders. They emigrated here just like me, to a free and democratic country that stands on the rule of law. And here, they are breaking it just because some corrupted, evil psychopath, Tyler Shandro, tells them to do. The same with RCMP. In a written release, RCMP called the 3 men key participants of the Coutts border blockade, which took place between January 29 and February 15. The 3 are doing court on October 4th. Police allege the 3 were key participants of the blockade, which limited traffic flow across the Canada-US border from January 29, like I said, to February 15.
Police arrived on scene as Pastor Artur Pawlowski made mention of the 4 charged with conspiracy to murder, being Chris Lysak, Chris Carber, Jerry Morin, and Anthony Oleanic, each being held without bail since the time of their arrest, which was around February 14th during the blockade. Artur says they are now political prisoners. Currently, a publication ban requested by their legal counsel is preventing many details of their cases from being revealed.
When I emigrated to this country, I would never imagine that what I faced growing up behind the Iron Curtain under the boots of the Soviets is going to happen once again here in our beloved Canada. And I know there are thousands upon thousands of Canadians that are feeling the same way. They came here for rights and freedoms. And those people here, those Tylers, Shandros of today, the wannabe Nazis and Gestapo, are doing everything in their power to stop us from simply living our lives in peace. They were denied bail. They remain unjustly held behind bars rather than being at home with their families. Rapists, at the same time, murderers, thieves, are released on bail and are in their homes. That's justice according to Shandro and his minions. Those that oppose tyrants are still behind bars. And that, my friends, is unacceptable. To this day, I am subjected to 4 more trials simply for doing my job as a pastor, for feeding the poor, for keeping the church's door open, for telling people that there is hope in Christ, for telling people to stand up for God and state-given rights. I am facing a terrorism charge because the pathological liars of today, the UCP government, including their boss, Jason Kenney, publicly stated that I incited people to commit acts of violence, while 3 times I told people peacefully. And I'm again not talking about violence, I'm not talking about swords and guns and all that stuff. You've got the most powerful wings ever. Who can move 1,000 trucks? Who can move 10,000 truckers?
We can.
With 100,000 supporters. I am calling right now every Albertan not to go to Edmonton, but to come here.
Thank you.
Come here.
Hey, fellas, how are ya?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good, thanks. Who's in charge here?
It's a press conference.
Okay. Have you guys organized anything, or is this just...
Press conference. That's it. We are done.
You're done?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
It was just press conference.
Okay, so you guys are just packing up and going?
Yeah.
Oh, beauty. Really, that's all they wanted, so...
We wanted to do it in front of our elected official, but they said we cannot, so we moved here.
Okay. You guys are done, you guys are packing up?
We're going.
Oh, beautiful. Thanks so much,
Okay.
guys. Appreciate it.
You actually had to spend time behind bars because of the Coutts blockade, I guess you could say. Could you just go over that situation?
And because of this corrupted crown prosecutor. You got to remember, Johnston lied to the courts. He lied to the judges, trying to present me as some kind of a dangerous individual that is responsible, his words now, I'm quoting, of causing $400 million worth of damages to Canadian economy. I mean, this guy is insane. And yet he is the chief crown prosecutor prosecuting all of the Coutts people. Is that not interesting? How convenient that is that they have appointed one Gestapo, one Goering, if you will, to go after the Jews, this time us, Albertans, freedom lovers. So I have been charged. I am the only Canadian citizen ever to be charged with this offense, interfering with the crucial infrastructure under the Defense Act. So in fact, they're telling me and the whole public I am a terrorist. It's like blowing up pipes or blowing up bridges. You would be charged with that. And what did I do? What did I do? I did a church service to hurting people. That's what I do, and that's what I'm going to do, either in jail or outside of jail. As you know, I never stopped preaching and telling people that there is hope, no matter what. Either I was 2 months in prison, in solitary confinement, in metal cages. They put me into metal cages. They kidnapped me from Calgary for no reason, put me in a max spot for the most dangerous offenders where I could not even have a pen. And then they took me to a psych ward without the evaluation of the doctors, without the knowledge of AHS. Those people are dangerous. They're dangerous. I've seen this behind the Iron Curtain, behind under the boots of the Soviets. And I've heard those stories from my grandparents and the older generation, what the Nazis did to anyone that dared to oppose their political views. We're facing the same circumstances right now. Everyone and anyone that opposes the status quo or the narration of the globalist agenda that you will own nothing, you will be eating crickets and you will be happy, faces what I'm facing. It needs to stop. And you know how we stop that? When people rise up, you can stop this just like that. You have the power to do it.
These truckers and those who are protesting at the Coutts blockade put it all on the line to peacefully protest vaccine mandates. And now some tickets, some charges have been laid. And if you want to help their lawyers fight on and continue fighting for them as they have since the beginnings of the blockade, you got to donate at TruckerLawyer.ca.